Hello everyone! Happy Friday! Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time when we can relax and craft together. And we work on a project for about an hour here. And I typically work on the projects from beginning to end so you can be part of the whole process along the way. So you guys, tonight we are continuing with the Splendid Sampler 2 Quilt Along. We are doing the trip to the Quilt Shop block right here. So we got quite a bit done last night. We did the webbing style of chain piecing. So we actually have all of our pieces pretty much together here. Now we just need to sew the rows together. So here's that goofy webbing technique. I didn't get the video from yesterday up yet, but I will tonight. And then you can look back at that if you wanted to see how we did that. But it's going to make today really quick and easy, and actually it made yesterday go rather fast as well. I didn't think we'd be able to sew all these rows together yesterday, but we did, and I think this webbing technique helped a lot. So check that out when we're done here. And let's press these rows and get them sewn together. So I'm going to flip you guys around. I hope you had a great Friday. All right, here we go. Here we are. So here's the Trip to the Quilt Shop block. It's by Laura K. Hauser. And so here is our kind of center grid. It's like this elongated rectangle. But what we have to do now is press the rows in opposite directions. So I'm assuming the other two is left than right. So we're looking at the arrows here. So we're going to press them. So it looks like the top, middle, and bottom are all being pressed to the right. So we'll press it in this direction, the seam allowances, and then these two middle ones get pressed the opposite direction. So that's going to be a little tricky with us keeping it all together in this webbing method. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to give it a try still. So let's see how well we can really press these. All right, scooch everything out of the way out of here, rulers. Okay, so I mean, I can remove this now. This was just so I knew what the top was, and I think I put all the little white bits on these guys at the top, so that's how I'll know that it's the top. So, okay, I'm going to take this off. All right, so I'm going to just lay this down, and I think I'm just going to, here, let's lay it this way. Kind of try and lay all these guys flat. I'm used to kind of doing this with a larger piece. But let's see how it goes. All right, we'll press these this way. So I'm just kind of stretching it a little bit and pressing the seam allowance in one direction here. I think I might be doing it opposite of what it said, but I think we're going to be okay still. So this one will go this way. All right, now let's see. Can I press this one the other way without messing up what I just did here? That's going to be the little trick. Okay, press that one. This one. I'm trying to press them in opposite directions, but the ones before are getting in the way here a little bit. I think we managed. Those are in opposite directions, right? I think we're good to go there. All right, I'm going to just scooch it down here a little bit more. So now this one has to go in that direction. We are pressing these seams, each row in the opposite direction, because that will help us nest the seams together, which means it's just this technique that I'll show you guys where the seams just kind of lock into each other, and that helps us get perfectly matching points. So when all of our squares match up, all of their points should be lined up. All right, now this one goes in the other direction. Squeeze in there. I'll give this a press from the front too, I think, before sewing. Okay, let's get this guy again here. Oop, got the little flap up there. Okay, and then the last row goes in the other direction. Oh, Bev, that was probably a smart idea. Bev used her clover iron, so that's that itty-bitty iron that we were using for applique. And I was considering that too, but I just didn't want to get it out. And I keep burning myself with that iron, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to just see if I can manage with this large iron. Or I'm just kind of quickly going over each section again here. But now, now you guys can see, like, all our seam allowances are like trading off. So this way, that way, doop, doop, doop. I'm going to just give it another quick press from the front. I always kind of like doing that. Give it a little stretch out again. We'll do that for each row. All right, 2 more. Nope, I'm moving quite a bit here. Make sure those seams are going the right direction still. Okay, last one. Yeah, this is definitely awkward doing this web method and trying to press these all. But I think we got them now. Here we are. So the seams are all pressed. Seam allowances are pressed in opposite directions now. So we should be able to nest these seams together pretty easily right now. And we can wonder clip them together, but we can also just feel for it. So I'll show you what I mean here. Okay. The reason that we pressed them into opposite directions is because when we press it this way, it kind of makes a little bump, like the fold of the fabric there. The bump is on, where I'm pointing at the bump here. This one is folded in this direction, so there's kind of like a little bit of a bump there. If we put the right sides together here, we should feel when those bumps hit each other. So I'm lining up the edge, the top edge here, and just feeling for that bump. So I can put a wonder clip there. Maybe I'll do that for the first row. So when I feel that bump, that's when I can clip it together. So I'll do one more, but then I think I'll do the rest just by feel. So I'll start sewing. Let's nest those seams together. You only get those opposite bumps when you press the seams in the opposite direction. So that's what we're going to do here. So if we do this right, or accurately, then our rows, like going down here, so like then these rows will perfectly, this line here will perfectly match the line below it. So we're shooting for these seams lining up by doing this versus, a little off like this. We don't want that little jog, and we want them to look like a perfectly matched seam. So this nesting method of seams seems to work very well. Some people press it open and line up the seams, but I don't know. I've had the best luck for getting things to line up by doing this nesting thing. But you should be able to feel, like I can feel these seams bumping up against each other. So when I sew, I should be able to just feel that and know that I'm in the right spot and then keep sewing. And that's what I'm going to try here. So I clipped the first two just to know that those are together, but I think I won't need to do that for the rest of these. So let's give it a try. Let's go to the sewing machine. Get down here. Okay, get the machine on. I got my my stiletto to help me out a little bit here. It's like another finger that I can just get right in here. I'm going to get you guys over a little bit more so you can see. All right, sorry about the glare from my light. Okay. Let's give it a go. Oop, come on, pedal. All right, so I'm approaching this first seam. I'm going to remove that wonder clip, and I should feel that those bumps are still hopefully together. Just feed that through. All right, we're approaching that second wonder clip seam. And gently remove that. And I'm kind of sewing the seam before moving on. So I've done stitches in both of those seams now. So now I'm going to just feel by hand if these two seams are bumping against each other. So there we go. I think we're good there. We'll see if I should clip these or not when we're done with this row. If these last two are kind of not together, then maybe I'll clip all of them, wonder clip all of them. All right, those are together. And line up the edge. All right, and get a leader in there. So let's see how we did. See how the lining up of those seams went. So I'm going to just shimmy over here just so we can see. Okay, so these first two we had the wonder clips on. Let's see how those did. Oh, my camera's a little shaky tonight, guys. All right. See, there we go. We got this perfect seam going right down the middle there. That looks great. All right, so the second one, not too shabby. So these are the ones that I did without the wonder clips, and that one looks fabulous. Yeah, these both look, this one's the tiniest bit off, but you can't tell that at all hardly, but this one is great. So I think I'm going to maybe do this without wonder clips for the rest of them, and we'll see how it goes. So with this webbing, the webbing technique is all still attached, so I can just fold this over and do the next row right away. So that's what we'll do here. And I'm going to just try doing it without the wonder clips this time. But it's the same thing. I'm going to match up those seams and just bump them together. Try and bump those two seams together. All right. I'm glad you like it, Debbie. Yeah, I think this method's just kind of fun. We haven't done it in a while, and I haven't done it on a piece this small either. It is a little hard to get my fingers in here. I'm just trying to get that first seam together, and maybe that first one I'll throw a wonder clip on just because I'm moving around quite a bit. So once I can feel that seam together, throw a clip on there, and then we'll just get the rest of this ready to go, straightened out. All right, line up this edge here, and let's do it. Oh, you love this technique, Barbara. Yeah, I can see myself doing this a whole lot more. I hadn't really thought about it for a small piecing thing like this, but you know, we do this sort of stuff a lot, like sewing a 9 patch together, and you know, usually I do that first column and then the second column and just try and keep order of it all, but maybe this is what I should do all the time. I don't know. We'll see. Next time we have just like this is a lot of squares. This has like 25 squares that we're sewing together, but Next time we have just even like 9 squares that we have to sew together, I might give this a try. It's a little futzy now just because I have to, they're all kind of connected and some of the ones are getting in my way a little bit, but just the brain easiness of I don't have to remember where things go or if I drop it, if it gets mixed up or anything. Just having it all together is just kind of puts my mind at ease, I think. All right, that's our last one, and then match those last seams there. We'll also see how close I get to the size. I believe these are supposed to be 5.5 inches. We should have a 5.5-inch square when I'm done here. This will be a good test of if my scant 1/4-inch seam allowance is okay. All right, so here's, looking good, looking good. Oops, sorry, hit you guys. Gonna have to get this camera situation figured out. All right, that one's all right. Yeah, it's coming together. Let's do the next bit. I think I let's start at the bottom. I'm gonna do these 2 singles, and then I'll do the triple to the double row here. So I'm jumping around here. I'm going to the bottom now. So let's match up these rows. I think it's helpful that first little wonder clip there because I am moving around a lot. So I'll clip that, and then we'll line up our edges. So I'm not really worrying about any of this right now. I'm just, I got that first one clipped, and I'm lining up these. And then once I sew through that seam of this first one, so I know that, it's attached by stitches instead of just my wonder clip, then I'll move on to the next one. All right, so let's get rid of that clip. All right, I'm in that first seam, so let's do this next one. Oh, Barbara, this is the way you learned, and you think you'd have a mess if you tried it a different way. Oh, if you tried to keep everything straight without it all like being together. Yeah, I mean it's snazzy, that's for sure, doing it this way. All right, I'm just trying to bump those next 2 rows together. I think we're good. All right, next one. Barbara here makes the grippets and also my extension table here. That's adjustable. My sew adjustable extension table. All right, here we are. Let's see how we did on this row. All right. Looking good, good, good. So I'm still looking if these seams are right. And wow, that's a great looking row. Oh yeah, Roxanne. So this, what I like about my table here, I'll show you guys a little bit up higher. So it's completely adjustable. So the height is adjustable. You can see all the screws. So maybe it's just not as, clear as another one, but I can adjust, wherever I want. So it fits whatever sewing machine I'm at, which is awesome because mostly on these tables, these extension tables, you have to tell the company like exactly what type of machine, and then they'll manufacture it exactly for your machine. But this one is totally adjustable. I didn't want to get one made for my old vintage machine here. I wanted something that, like, if I got something later, I'd be able to adjust it. So I was looking for adjustable tables, adjustable extension tables, and this is what I found. And they also do the grippets, which are those little devices I love for the free motion quilting. So yeah, you can check them out. It's at Sewing Mates, so sewing, mates.com. You can get them in different sizes, Debbie. So I think I got the 18-inch one. I'm going to try this one without the Wonder Clip to begin with. I got the 18-inch one, the medium one. I got the medium one because I think there's a 24-inch one. That one I thought would be too big for this tiny space that I'm working in. And then there was a smaller one too, but I wanted it as big as I could within my tiny space. But I love it. And then, of course, I love the Grippets. We have some free motion quilting to do, so we'll have to get cranking on those again. That again soon. All right, here's our last little seam. Yeah, not having to futz around with what row we're on and what row we have to match up to the next row. It just all being here, I definitely think this is saving us time, this webbing method. I like it. I'm going to try and use it more often, see how that goes. Okay. So let's take a look. Oh, I forgot, what seam did we just do? Oh, I'm a little off on this white row here, but not off enough. Oh, wait, here's the top and bottom. Not off enough that you can really do. Oh, thanks, Barbara. Barbara says, I'm so glad you found us because that way you found me. And we can be crafting together every night. That's awesome. Yay. All right, here we are, guys. Oh, Roxanne says she found the website, the Sewing Mates website. Love to see all these goodies that I use. Man, I was never a goodies person until we started the Splendid Sampler here a couple of years ago, the first Splendid Sampler. And, you know, I still think you don't need all the gadgets to quilt, but it does make certain things easy and fun, and you know, we want this to be fun. So if getting a gadget makes me happy, then we do it. So that's why I got the cordless iron, the Wonder Clips, the wool mat, all of it. You know, totally not necessary, any of it, but man, they certainly make different steps of the process a whole lot nicer and easier. All right, so we're pressing it downward. That's what they said in the directions. I'm going to give it another press from the front. Kind of stretch it flat a little bit. I'm not really pulling too hard. I just want to make sure that my seams are flat. In theory, this would be an opportunity to press the seams open, perhaps. But we'll stick with it here. All right, I'm totally curious to see how close we got to that 5.5 inches, because I think that's what this is supposed to end up as. Oh, it's cute. It's subtle. I like it. So, all right, let's do a little measurement here. All right, again, I think let's read the instructions again here quick. Yep, I should have a 5.5 inch square. All right, let's see how close we are. We got little measurements right here. Ooh, something bit me over here. All right, 0 to 5.5. Woo, that looks great. Okay, that makes me so happy because that means I'm doing okay on my scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. Although this way, I'm a hair over. So I was, so here's the, ooh, this one's, so right here, I'm a hair over the 5.5 inch mark, which makes me think that when I was sewing the rows, I should have had a the teeniest tiny, bigger seam allowance. You know, even like less than 1 millimeter, like a hair, not even a hair, and then this would have scooched up on that 5.5 inch mark. So, you know, It doesn't matter. It probably won't matter so much with my block here, but if you were doing a whole quilt, I mean, look, that is a kind of a lot of slack though yet there. If you're doing a whole quilt, that might start to be a problem when you have a lot of pieces and if your seam allowance isn't just quite right. So a block like this with a lot of pieces is a good measure to see how close you are. So I'm right on with the top and bottom, so maybe I got a little bit better in sewing these rows together. But yeah, left to right, I could have scunched it in a little bit more. All right, well, that's something that I'll keep in mind for later. But now let's get our other strips out. So this block isn't quite done yet, you guys. We got the side strips to do. So we got those 5.5 inch and then the 7-inch strips. So here's my 5.5 inch strip. What we can do, here you can see too, we're just slightly bigger. What I can do is start and stop. Like I can make sure that I start it lined up and I can sort of ease it a little bit so I can kind of stretch and hold on this white piece a little bit, kind of scunch these in while I sew, and it should kind of make up the difference a little bit. It'll be maybe a little bulky here, but it's so minor that I don't think you'll see it overall. And we're going to quilt the heck out of this whole thing anyway. So, but that's something. Like if you have a bigger piece that's cut, it's cut the right size, I can sort of ease, the fact that I had a tiny bit too big of seam allowance. So that's that. Let's sew the top and the bottom pieces. I might try and do this without clipping, but I could fold this over. Maybe I should clip because I am a little bit bigger. All right, I'm going to do it. I think I dropped all my Wonder Clips, so let's get some more out here. I have these little cases from IKEA. There's a magnet on the back, so I have all my Wonder Clips in there. But all right, so we would start sewing here. So I want to line up that top edge. I'll line up the top edge, and I'll line up the bottom edge. And then maybe I'll try and get in the center somewhere too. There we go. Put the bigger side on the bottom. Oh, that's a good idea. That's right. I always forget about that, Bonnie. So I'll put the bigger side, this one, on the bottom because then the feed dogs will be pulling it along. And so the feed dogs will kind of stretch it just a hair too. So really I should have these Wonder Clips the other direction. Let's give that a try. I always forget about that. So I haven't even really probably tried it. So we'll go this way. And I'm going to set up, since we're here with Wonder Clips, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side right away too, the bottom. So again, top and bottom first, and then one in the middle. And hopefully it'll all kind of stretch itself in the right spots. And we're talking finicky world here. I mean, this is like if you want to be perfect, but like any other time, I would just sew this thing and be done. If it hangs over the edge a little bit, meh, it won't be the end of the world. So, but could try some new things here. Got some time. We'll Wonder Clip it and try and stretch it out and all that. All right, so here we are, top and bottom. Oh, always remember, big butt on bottom. Oh, that's funny, Bonnie. So the big one on the bottom. And then, actually, is this right then? Because it's not like the one that's too big you put on the bottom. Like this one's actually, this piece is, well, yeah, anyway, I think we're good. Because that piece is actually the smaller part, but I want the feed dogs to stretch it out. So I think this is right. Yeah, because it'll slide on the top. It'll slide a little bit. Okay, my phone keeps dropping here a little bit. All right, let's just give it a try. If we get close, that will be good. All right, so I'm getting rid of that first one. All right, now the feed dogs have it, so we kind of almost need to stretch it out till we get to this one. Oh, the piece is on the bottom. The white on top. So the part that's too big goes on the bottom. Okay, fine, we'll do that. Let's switch this around. So it is, okay, so it is the one that's too big you put on the bottom. But, okay, yep, got it. Okay, so we were kind of doing it right. Okay. So I didn't have these flipped. I'm going to just leave them where they are and pull them off, though, the Wonder Clips. Okay, so now, okay, so that makes sense then. The big on the bottom. Okay. So I guess the reasoning for that, okay, I got it now. So the reasoning for that is because the feed dogs are pulling at their normal rate. That the feed dogs are the bits underneath that pull. It just slides underneath the top. So I can kind of tug at this a little bit and it will still be pulling the bottom, but it slides underneath the top. So I can just kind of pull on it and it will just go based on the bottom underneath. So I can kind of stretch it because there's nothing grabbing it from the top. Okay, totally, I think I got it now, you guys. I like that big butt on the bottom. Is that what the phrase was? All right, I like it. I think we got it. And those clips help as well. All right, get this guy out. He's kind of like another finger. Okay, you guys, I think she's got it. All right, so now we can already tell that they're matched up on the white. Let's unfold it a little bit. And there we go. Everything, all our edges are all matched up perfectly now. And, you know, it's not, they didn't pucker or anything. So once we press this flat, I mean, you can see it's maybe a little wavy, but that's going to totally go away once we quilt it and stuff. So yeah, I like it. Good trick. So let's do that again. The white on top, the big on the bottom, big bottom on the bottom. All right. I always like having my stiletto here. Get things going. All right. But that is the reason why, because I can slide this so I can stretch the top a little while the bottom is just getting gripped by the feed dogs. I love tricks like that. Big butt on the bottom. It's all about that base. Exactly, Bonnie. All right, I'm going to just kind of match up this last edge because I think I was a little off. There we go. I don't know if I did better, but there we go. So I'm letting the bottom pull while I'm holding the top in place. So the top is stretching while the bottom is pulling along. Get this guy in again, and there we be. All right, now we should be pretty well lined up for the side strips. I do think I have to press this beforehand, though. Yeah, okay, so we need to press before we sew the sides on. So let's do that quick. So according to the instructions, we press outward, so like this, so that the centerpiece is still pointing out. So I think I'm just going to, we'll just lay it flat like this and flip it. You can see, you know, through the white, the seam allowance through the white quite a bit, but ah well. Once we have a white background on it, the batting and stuff, I think that will go away a bit. Okay, we'll set the seam a little bit and press open. Or press to the one side, but there we are. Oh, it is just so adorable. All right, we'll definitely get we're practically done here. I don't know if we'll do any of the embroidery stuff tonight. I think we'll probably just end it when we're done with this center area. There is some embroidery on this piece, though. So we will take a look at that again some other time. Oh, it's coming together. Love it. I love that little white border that's coming along here. It's so much more subtle than the one in the book, but that's totally fine. That is the look of our quilt for sure. All right, side guys. Ooh, so now this is far off. That's interesting. Oh, someone else mentioned that they needed like 7.5 inches. So, oh, you know what? I think I kind of know what's going on here. So, let's see. This is 5 inches. 6, 7.5. Yeah. Oh, funny. So this is a little goofy. So we had to do all these 1.5 inch strips, right? But then we're getting like these are all inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, and then we got rid of a 1/4 inch here from the seam allowance. So this is like 1 1/4 left, and this is 1 1/4. So that's 7.5 inches, you know. Whereas these we cut to 7. So the reasoning that it's bigger. I mean, ultimately we need it 6.5 inches, right? The size of our block here. But we have embroidery, and anytime that we are doing embroidery on these blocks, we've tended to make the block a little bit bigger so we can do all the embroidery and then trim it down, because there's a lot of handling of the block, and you know, your edges might get more raw, and you might like just pull on the stitches a little much, so they like scrunch in. So it kind of, your block may shrink from those things just a hair. So anytime there was embroidery, we made the block just a hair bigger, and I think that's what's going on here. But in theory, we should have made these 7.5 inches, because this, like math-wise, is 7.5. So we are going to do, Pat, like what you said, we're going to just center them, because these are only 7 inches. So we're not going to get a perfect square here, so don't worry about that. We will be trimming this down when we're done. So it is supposed to be this 7.5 inches. So Kim says there's a mistake in the book. It is 7.5. So maybe they mentioned that somewhere. But again, we're going to be trimming it down to 6.5 anyway when we're done. So if there's a little like jog in the top of this right now, it's not going to matter ultimately. So what I am going to do is I'm going to just, you could fold your whole thing in half and make a mark there, and fold this in half and line up the marks, but I'm just going to eyeball it. If I needed to be exact, I would be, but we are just, remember that we're going to be trimming these later. So I'm going to just kind of throw one right in the middle there, and I think that's all I'm going to do. Okay, Pat says, also when you press the bottom seam down onto the white strip, oh, it's hard to see the applique pattern then. I'll have to, I can't see the rest of your comment, so I'll have to look afterwards. Yeah, because we need to transfer our embroidery on this somehow yet too. But let's just do it. Let's sew these strips. See how it goes. Then we'll give it a press, and I think then we'll call it a night here, you guys, and then pick up the embroidery of this some other time. I'm kind of feeling the need of like a one of these Saturdays where we do a little mini marathon. I don't think it'll be this Saturday because I got a ton of work to do this Saturday, but I don't know, there's a few blocks that we just have a few just tiny bits to go, and it would be nice to just finish it all up. Like just this embroidery, and you know, we have those bowls, those mixing bowls. That one just has a tiny bit left. All right, I need a liter here. Look at all my runaway wonder clips. So one of these days, we'll have to do a marathon. Oh yeah, so that's a good point. The transfer, remember when you do the embroidery, like get it right up here, because remember, we're gonna cut this off. We're gonna cut this to 6.5 inches, plus when we sew it into the quilt, we're gonna lose a seam allowance. So it might even be helpful to mark where the center your whole design and mark where the 6.5 inches is, and then mark in another 1/4 inch, and then you gotta fit within that tiny, tiny spot. So make sure to keep that in mind when you transfer your text and everything for the embroidery. You're gonna lose some stuff. Yeah, and you definitely don't want to trim it off. So mark your 6.5 inch block boundary, and then from there mark at least 1/4 inch more, because you're going to lose 1/4 inch when you sew it to all of your other blocks in the quilt. And then within whatever's left over, that's where you can do your embroidery. Don't think that you have this whole nice white space to do it. Yeah, so 2 variables, trimming it and the seam allowance that will be in the quilt. All right, let's press this and see what we got here. Okay, again, we're pressing outward. And that's most likely because there's a ton of seams in this center area, and they just all want to like push out. They're like pretty sturdy, so it kind of makes sense that this easy single piece here, you know, that we'd be allowing that be the piece to fold instead of the pieces with all of these seam allowances. Oh, that white is framing this so nicely, I think. Yeah, it'll be fun to do some embroidery on here too. Okay, I think that's probably looking pretty good here. I kind of want to, it looks like my corners need to be, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to give it a little stretch both ways. It was kind of looking like almost an arc at the outside, so I wanted to pull the corners out a little bit here too. Let's just stretch on that a hair. Give it another press. I mean, in theory, the middle is a little bit bigger because, like I said, my seam allowance was a hair off, but ooh, it is looking cute. All right, let's take a look. So again, here is what the final size is going to be. I have this 6.5 inch ruler, so that's the final size. So if we kind of center it here, which is maybe about like that. So we're going to be cutting all this off. That is a lot to cut off. So, and then remember, we're going to be sewing in another half or another 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we really only have this 1/2 inch from here to here, 1/2 inch around for the embroidery. And you might want, you know, a little edge in between the tops of your letters and the bottom. So we're really only stitching maybe 1/4 inch in here. So yeah, so literally we might only be kind of the width of a wonder clip right in here, and that's it. So your embroidery can only be like this big in here, like just on the other side of this seam allowance, because we're gonna lose all that, right? So keep that in mind when you start your embroidery, and we will get working on that sometime soon as well. But I think we'll stick to the sewing tonight and call it an evening. But I think this just turned out so adorable, and I love that webbing technique. I'm going to start doing that a whole lot more. So that is the plan. All right, guys, I'm going to flip you around and we'll call it an evening. Hey, Gretchen, I don't think that our squares should have been smaller. I mean, I think the intention of this block is to have a really skinny little border around it, and that skinny little border happens to have type in. So I don't think it's about the squares having to be smaller. I think it's about, you know, the designer just wanted a real itty bitty border, and we're just having a bigger border now just so we can mess up the edges and stuff while we embroider, and then we can trim it down. But I think it's sweet, a little delicate, but I think you can still see that diamond in there. So I think we did a good job with this one. I like it. And we'll do that webbing technique tons more, I think. That was slick. We got this done quick. So awesome, you guys. I will get last night's video and this night's video up on YouTube. My YouTube is Penguin and Fish Movies, so be sure to head over there. It's great, too, if you want to watch something later. You know, YouTube's maybe a little bit easier format for that as well. And you'll get to see what I see, which is everyone's comments come up. So when I answer something, it's because I'm seeing it. There's a little delay if you're watching on Facebook from when you type and from when I can see it. So the YouTube is good to see it straight up. So I hope you subscribe over there, and I hope you like the Penguin and Fish page here on Facebook as well. Have a fabulous, fabulous weekend, you guys. I will see you again on Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Good night.